Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Right, a couple of weeks ago we did a video on moving files into App Service, and I thought it might be useful just to have a little general talk about FTP and how you can use in the secure version of it as well. It's always worthwhile remember there are basically two versions of secure file transfer. One is SFTP, it's kind of built around secure shell, and the second one is FTPS, which is FTP over SSL, TLS. So that's the default way. In fact, it's probably the only way to get files into the app service. It's sort of Microsoft's a big company. They have various ways, different ways of doing things. So they've recently just announced that they've now got an SFTP interface into blob storage, which is good. But if you mess about with code and whatever, and sometimes you might just not want to mess about with other tools, you can just use tools which are freely available. So what I thought I'd do is I'll just go through two methods of doing it. One is there is a command line version which is freely available from Ipswich. Now I'll put the links in the description for this, and you can download this client, and we'll have a look in a second. And there's a nice little manual there, and again I'll put the link into it. It seems it is basically a drop-in replacement for FTP if you want to use the secure method. So what I've done is I've got some files which we'll go through in this tutorial. So I have this file here which I've called start. Whoops, start. I used to be able to spell and type. There we go. So I've just put all the command line parameters that we need in there. So you'll remember that we had this PQ PHP, so that's a new one. I think it is only a 7.4 because we're not actually going to use the facilities in there. We'll just make that a bit wider, just get everything on there. So that's the user, that's the password. You remember the deployment user that we used, and there's the URL to get into there. That seems to be the thing that changes. So if I just start this up now, if I just run this because it is a batch file, or you can do it as a command file if you wish. So we'll do there, and it's now logged me in. Brilliant. So you can basically just move around the server like you could with WinSCP. So you can see what's going on. So they cannot accept argument now. This is really quite a strange thing. It seems, depending on where you are firewall wise, you have to be in passive or active mode. So having just done that, I'm actually in active mode, or passive mode is off. So if we just type the word passive, we're now in passive mode is on. So this should now work. There we are. So you'll probably remember these folders, asp.net. If we do ssl.l, should get a bit more information there. There we are. So we know their directories. We move into site, and we move into www root. There we are. So there. Remember that's that hosting start file is the one where you see when you just go into the default website. So we'll just put this. We'll just put the file I've created in the directory, and we'll just put that up to the remote one. So it's only 19 bytes. I've already logged into this secure shell here, so we'll just have a wander into site, and we'll wander into root, and there we are. There's the info.php. Go back to here. There it is, info.php. I can remove it from this side. Info.php. Nicely gone. And there we are. So it's gone from this side. So this is a useful little tool to use. You can script it up. You can basically do most of the things you can do with FTP if you just want to use that secure version. So that's really useful. Just remember that the passive thing, which we'll talk a bit more in a few seconds. So I'll just come out of this. I think it's exit. Nope, must be quit. It's not one. It's one of the others. Right. So we have some. Oops. So get used to using systems. I've actually written a piece of PHP which I've just called FTPS client. We'll just make that a bit bigger. That's a very, very odd piece of software to you, the extension. It's not actually listed. So sorry, if you do PHP, you have to tell it which extensions to use. And in the php.ini file, there's a whole load of extensions in there with a semicolon. It's not actually listed within there, so I will just show at the end. I'll just give a little screenshot of the what the php.ini should look like, because you need that. You need OpenSSL in there to work as well, because it's secure. So you can do that. So while we can use this section, in fact, when I was playing around with it, get all kinds of strange errors. I got this one, the SSL read on shutdown. That was when I was using version 7.3 PHP. I went up to 7.4 and it was fine. PHP 8 is fine. It's just, if you get it, it's just worthwhile remembering, because they did say that they would fix it, but they didn't seem to fix it for quite a while. So the host, we used that before, if you remember. That's basically the host, the endpoint. Port 21, because the way we're doing this is you then negotiate to use port 900. You might remember in WinSCTP we went with 900. So that piece of software is doing all the clever stuff behind there that we don't have to worry about checking errors, because we are limited to what the extension will do and how much we can play around with that. So we'll just leave that as that's actually the default anyway, 21, but it's just there for you to see that. The user, PQ/PHP 500, and the deployment user, which is what we used before. So if we just look at this start file again, start FTPS, and there's our Thursday 2500 to do that. Sorry, that's the password. Breaking up here. There's thousands, so it's exactly the same thing. So what we do is we in most things, it's basically just getting an object. This happens in PHP a lot. It's just the general idiom. So we do an Ssl Connect using the host and using the port. This is kind of the place where you don't get very many errors. You can't trap it, so if it gets past here, we're normally okay. So we need to log in with the username and password. So that's the reference we have there, FTP. So that's what we'll use all the way through. So there's our user and our password to log in. Just some standard error message there. It will fail if it doesn't do that. Yep. Change the passive mode. Yeah, so we'll just do that. As we saw, we had to do that from the command line as well, which is fine. So FTP passive, that's just the command. So we do that. Yeah, some functions may fail, so we'll do that. So just as a bit of diagnostics, just to be shown what's going on, we'll get the current working directory. So we'll display that. That's probably going to be / I think, when we come up there. So that's at our root. We want to go to site.ww root. So we'll change that. So change directory to the reference, and we'll just go to site ww root, and I'll error if that doesn't work. I've given the message that we changed to that, and we're actually at. So I've reported that again. So the line when we display it should say this is where we are and this is where we actually are. So at least we know that's doing that. We'll just get the contents of the directory. So we'll get the root, which is dot rather than / in this. So we'll get some files in there. We'll see that. So that probably will just be the hosting start.html file. We'll see that. So I'll dump it out. This is a PHP method of just dumping out an entire array. It's very useful. And then we'll just walk over that array and display each line as it goes. So we'll see the individual files. So we'll then now put a file up to the server. So I'm going to have the remote file will be info01.php, and the local file name is info.php. Oops, so we show there that's the file that we moved up before when we did that. Now, when we put this file up, I was getting a very strange error message. So I'm actually doing this on Windows Server now, and it will actually report a warning, a PHP warning, to say that it couldn't connect, but it actually does. And I can't replicate the error locally on Windows 10 Pro, so it's odd. So what I've said in the code is there is a way to stop that if you really want to do it, and we'll have a look at that in a second. It's not good practice. Anyway, but what we have to do is we give it a remote file name, which say is the info01 where we're going up, the local file name, which is the file name on the disk, and we're going to move it as ASCII. There we are. So transfer mode as ASCII. You can have FTP binary there if you want to use a binary file. So we'll put the file up. So if it does fail, it will actually say I actually failed. die just means I'll just end the program now. So just to make sure that we did do it, that Roma file made it, we'll just get that list again. So we'll just call the FTP end list again. As you can see, these are all named after FTP commands. So you see those, and then we'll just dump out the contents. I took that out because that was what was erroring, and we'll just see if it does work in here. So we'll do that. So we have our file. So back in PHP, well, back in Windows World, we're just going to run the client, and we'll see what messages it comes up with. There we go. So this is the error message I was telling you about, where you not respond, but it has actually done it quite where it has done it. It's fine. So it finds the current directory, which was the slash. We're moving to root, and we actually are at root. So we do that. We have only the hosting start file within the environment. So we do the put to Win401, get the error messages, and then we just have a look at the files, and Win401 is actually there. So it has actually moved it up. Very, very strange. So we just have a look there now, and there's Win401. Now what we can do, you can actually use the same name again, but I just like to do separate ones. If we do Win402 and on the put, we put this there. This is just the PHP way of saying I don't want you to report in errors, please. So do that, but you don't get any errors. So we'll just try that again. So we'll run it again. It'll try and do it too, and there you can see it's nice and clear now. We don't get that, and we've got Win402. Go back to the world, and we can just have a look again there, and we'll just do a PHP info02.php. You'll remember we did this before, so this is just this very large dump of all the environment variables and whatever not. So we can do that. So there you are. Basically, it's reasonably easy to programmatically use FTP. I possibly wouldn't use it in production mode unless somebody can crack these warnings. Really, there are various settings in PHP to how you report errors, how you report warnings, and I'm actually running exactly the same php.ini file between the two environments. So if anybody can put in the comments why that should be, I'd be very grateful for that, and we'll work that out. One other little thing I thought I'd just show you as well while we're here, because I probably won't do a lot more of work on this, is I've actually got PHP 7 and PHP 8 running on this machine. So I can actually do PHP version. You can see it's 7.4.26. And I can also just run a file set to 8. Oops, set to 8. Oh, come on. Where are we? Because it needs to be a bat. Or nothing at all. So there we've actually changed what's going on now. So I'll just show you what the version we've got now is. So we're actually running in 8. So all these files do is where are you? Set to anyone, it doesn't matter. It's using this subst, which is a way that in Windows you can actually basically map drives. It's just a command thing, really. It's very useful. So all I'm saying is the G drive points to PHP 7.4, and in the 8 version, I'm pointing to 8.1. So I just delete that subst file drive first. You will error if it's not already assigned. You'll just get a little warning saying that's not there. You could do it with parameters. I just did it as 2 separate files, just to show the 2 different things it worked. So you can run 2 different versions of PHP. Well, not run, but at any one time you can have 2 different versions. Just means in the php.ini file you have no hard-coded references to folders and whatever. So that's quite useful. And if we just have a quick look at the environment variables, so we'll just edit those in there. Environment variables for the path. So okay. Oops, sorry. No. Edit. Path. Edit. There we are. So all we do there is we just add G:/, and Windows resolution takes care of everything. So that's really quite good. So what I'll do now is, as I said, I'll just show you the php.ini file, and I'll show where we uncomment the FTPS extension We'll also show the SSL, the OpenSSL as well, and I'll just show you what these certificates are as well, because sometimes when you use a secure version, PHP objects with certificates. So we'll have a quick look at that now. Yep. So this is the PHP ini file. This is basically what tells PHP what's going on. So I already have the extension for OpenSSL. That's there. We also need the PHP FTP DLL as well. That's in the extension directory. You probably don't need to know about that. These are all other extensions. For example, that's the native code to get into SQL Server. But as I say, these are always here. This is not the PHP one because that is an extension I choose to put in. But the FTP does come with it, and for some reason it's not listed here. All these other things are like GD2's graphics extension, IMAP if you want to do email, and LDAP if you want to play around with Active Directory, for example. And we also have to retell it these certificates. Sometimes it just won't work if you do that. So this ca-search.pem file, just do a Google for it, and it'll be there. And you just download that, put it in a file, in a folder, and just point these two directives to there, and that should make everything work okay. So okay guys, that was just a quick look around really of what's going on in FTP. Just have a go with it, don't have a go with it, or just use the Git things. I just thought I'd push everything together. What we'll do maybe in the next video is when I get back onto the Power Query tool, we'll actually generate some test data and we'll move it up automatically by using these modules, these procedures. So hopefully that will be the next video, and I'll see you then. So cheers everyone, and as ever, please help me along by a subscribe and a like, or even some comments. Cheers all.